Presented by Listen Headlines, latest world news from trusted sources.
Washington Post World, November 13, 1229 America, New York. Hong Kong authorities deny visa to Economist journalist. Hong Kong authorities have declined to renew a visa for a foreign journalist working for The Economist without any explanation, the magazine said in a statement on Friday. New York Times World News, November 13, 7:25 America, New York. From "Alive Among the Dead" to "Dead Among the Living." The trauma of the 2015 terrorist attacks in Paris was highlighted in testimony by survivors and others at a trial of 20 men accused of involvement. A memorial in 2015 for the victims of the terrorist attacks in Paris. Washington Post World, November 13, 7:03 America, New York. Government allied forces leave Yemeni city, rebels re-enter. Yemen officials and the UN say forces loyal to Yemen's internationally recognized government have withdrawn from the strategic port city of Hodeidah. Washington Post World, November 13, 7 o'clock America, New York. Lebanon was famed for its medical care. Now, doctors and nurses are fleeing in droves. Amid cascading crises, nearly 40% of physicians and 30% of nurses have left since 2019, the WHO says. Washington Post World, November 13, 6:49 America, New York. Philippine politics is so unpredictable that Duterte looks set to run against his own daughter for VP. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte appears ready to face off against his daughter, Sara Duterte Carpio, in a bid for the vice presidency next year, in the latest development to a competitive, unpredictable race. Washington Post World, November 13, 6:27 America, New York. Merkel calls on all to get shots to avoid bad virus winter. Chancellor Angela Merkel has called on all unvaccinated Germans to get their shots as quickly as possible as the country's coronavirus infection rate hits the latest in a string of new highs.
PowerPost, November 13, 6 o'clock America, New York. The mansion and cinema of their time look at today's Senate with one seeing rays of hope, the other mostly darkness. The Lindsey Graham I see on TV today is not the Lindsey Graham I remember, Ben Nelson writes in his new book, suggesting John McCain's death in 2018 left him without a moral anchor, and that his drift into Fox News regular and Trump supporter illustrates the end of centrism.
November 13, 6 o'clock America, New York. You'll have to learn how to do textured hair to get a stylist's license in Louisiana. The Louisiana Board of Cosmetology's recent move to include a section on cutting textured hair on all licensing exams is being celebrated by black hairstylists and natural hair advocates who say the requirement is a step toward equality in the beauty industry.
Wall Street Journal World News, November 13, 5:30 America, New York. As the U.S. races to vaccinate kids, some countries hold back. Immunizing children against COVID-19 is viewed by authorities in the U.S. and elsewhere as critical to get the upper hand over the virus. But in some parts of the world, such efforts have generated deep controversy.
Washington Post World, November 13, 5:23 America, New York. Air Force official says U.S. to maintain presence in Mideast. The top U.S. Air Force general in the Mideast says American airmen will continue to be stationed in the region. Washington Post World, November 13, 5:18 America, New York. COP26 live updates. Negotiators unveil new draft deal as UN climate talks continue in overtime. The summit is aiming for an agreement that brings nearly 200 nations together in tackling climate change. Washington Post World, November 13, 5:06 America, New York. Protests planned as Sudan military tightens grip after coup. Sudan's pro-democracy alliance has called for mass protests against the military's takeover of the country. New York Times World News, November 13, 5 o'clock America, New York. In Canada's Atlantic, urbanites find welcome and blowback. As housing prices soar in big cities, the country's eastern provinces are experiencing a surge in migration. Newcomers are being welcomed, but some locals are wary. Houses along the coastline in Bonavista, Newfoundland.
November 13, 5 o'clock America, New York. Scientists react to Aaron Rodgers' comments on COVID-19 vaccine and treatments. If only scientists had the influence of a popular professional football quarterback.
Washington Post World, November 13, 4:54 America, New York. Police. India rebels kill 4 troops, 2 others in border state. Indian police say at least 4 Indian soldiers and 2 civilians have been killed in an ambush by suspected rebels in the northeastern state of Manipur bordering Myanmar.
November 13, 4:31 America, New York. Funeral services underway for Astroworld Festival victims as dozens of lawsuits are filed. The funeral for one of the youngest victims of the Astroworld Festival is being held Saturday in Houston, as families and friends remember loved ones who died a week ago at the high-energy music event that turned into a nightmare. November 13, 4:26 America, New York. Massachusetts high school students hold walkout to protest racist video by a white classmate. Students at a Massachusetts high school held a walkout on Friday morning to protest a racist video made by a white student and to demand a change to the culture of racism in the school district, a top school official said.
Washington Post World, November 13, 4:23 America, New York. Cheeky, sea lions are returning to New Zealand's shores, and locals are learning to share the coast. The sea lions have turned up in unexpected places, including a golf course and a forest. Washington Post World, November 13, 4:13 America, New York. Israeli couple arrested in Turkey on espionage charges. Turkey's official news agency says an Israeli married couple have been arrested for espionage after taking photographs of the Turkish president's residence in Istanbul. RT World News, November 13, 4:10 America, New York. Toxic smog in New Delhi way worse than previously thought. The Indian Supreme Court has demanded urgent measures to tackle the thick toxic smog that has been covering New Delhi for over a week. It even suggested imposing a brief lockdown. Washington Post World, November 13, 4:02 America, New York. 7 Cambodians die after drinking alcohol disinfectant. Cambodia's health ministry says 7 laborers have died after drinking alcohol they were given as a disinfectant in a quarantine and mixed it with water and soft drinks.